depending on what generation you're learning from, can really affect your mindset around money. I mean, definitely like grandparents and parents who have gone through, like depressions and then gone through market crashes and all of that can really affect our mindset now into believing that we don't have money, we can't trust it. It's not always coming. So it really affects us on how we view money moving forward.
Welcome to the Liberated Living podcast. It's time to rediscover yourself and claim your divine sovereignty through conversations that tune into the energy, wisdom, and innate magic of the modern woman.
Good day to you, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're dialing in to watch this. I'm here with the beautiful Megan Hansen. And Megan is a money relationship coach and more. And when I first met you, it was like, what on earth is a money relationship coach? I mean, 20 years ago, there wasn't, never heard of such a thing. And now there is such a thing. And I would love you to introduce yourself. Welcome, introduce yourself, and tell us what on earth is a money relationship coach?
So I'm Megan Hansen. Yep, I'm a money relationship coach. I think it's so interesting because just saying that, like 20 years ago, we didn't have one, which is why we need one now. you know. So money relationship coach. So I help you with your finances, but really with your mindset around money. Definitely our history, our parents' history, all of that stuff from 20 years ago and much longer. All of those things bring us to where we are today. Those are our spending habits. Those are our money patterns that we don't even realize. So often it can get us into not the greatest situation if we're not like educated on it and aware and prepared. And so that's kind of what I help you with, and to bring it all up to the forefront, and so we can really address those patterns and make them better, and to make you feel like healthy and really in control of like your finances and your financial future. So
It sounds fun. So let's start with that. Let's perhaps look at the lack of education. So we don't grow. That's certainly not something that I remember doing in the school curriculum. Anything about, what money is, what does it mean, what is your relationship with money, how do you see it, or even opening a bank account. Gosh, we never even learned that at school, right? How to open a bank account. So there's a serious lack in the education field, and the education, as you said, that we usually get is from via our parents. Who's going to educate us. And so we take on their beliefs and their ideas around money, whether they have a lot of money or a lack of money, and all the way they feel about money and how much they earn or can't earn is very much becomes our beliefs around money too, right?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting because with generations, money flow, like it goes up and down, up and down. And so depending on what generation you're learning from, can really affect your mindset around money. I mean, definitely like grandparents and parents who have gone through like depressions and then gone through market crashes and all of that can really affect our mindset now into believing that we don't have money, we can't trust it. It's not always coming. So it really affects us on how we view money moving forward.
Yeah, That's right. So we take on that. I mean, I can also remember things being told, things like money doesn't grow on trees, and don't spend so much, save your money and that kind of thing. So as you said, these are beliefs that maybe my parents had that have been handed down to me, and that have now become my beliefs around money. And then you get into a relationship with somebody, and they have their family beliefs or their beliefs around money. And sometimes they clash, but sometimes they're the same. And so they're actually reinforced,
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So for instance, I'm married, have been married for almost 30 years now. And I have a very caring, generous husband, but certainly for a lot of my life, I chose to leave my career and go home, be a stay-at-home mum while my kids were growing up. And only after they'd reached, high school, left school, gone on to college, did I decide that I wanted to then go out and pursue my own career or something that I wanted to do. But in that time, it was, the real tradition. I was given an allowance each, month or whatever for the groceries and things to do. And you sort of budget that little allowance and that's it. But when it came to, oh, I'd really love to go on that holiday, or I'd really love to buy that pair of shoes, it was always, I had to ask my husband's permission if it wasn't in the budget to do that. And that can leave us feeling incredibly, what is the word, suppressed, incredibly guilty around money, and really feeling very like we have no control. We have absolutely no sovereignty over that, no financial security of our own to make our own decisions. And I think this is a pretty common thing. As I said, my husband is, normally if I said to him, look, I'd really like this, he would sort of say, okay, well, can we afford it or can't we? But I know many who didn't have that opportunity. If it wasn't in their little allowance, that was it. So
Yeah.
can you speak to that a little bit? I'm sure you see that a lot.
Yeah. And even with having the most generous partner and husband, it's still, and with like sharing finances, it's still in our mind and body that it's their finance, that it's their money. Even if it's shared, we still view it as theirs because we have to ask them for it.
That's
So
right.
even with the most generous and loving, it still affects us the same, where we internalize it to where we don't have enough, we aren't enough, we're not valued, like all of this stuff. Even if it doesn't appear that way, that's how we internalize it. So
Wow. Yeah, I never thought of it, but that's so true, right? It's not ours. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
the whole deserving thing comes in there. Did we deserve it? Are we a good enough wife, person, mother, whatever, to deserve that in the first place? So yeah, there's a lot of guilt and shame even around tied into that. So let's take a step back and look at sort of the history a little bit, the history of females, of women. And we look only just a couple of 100 years ago, women were still the property of their husbands. And in fact, there's still cultures today that still sell their daughters into marriage. They actually receive, I grew up in South Africa, and it's very common, still a tradition in the African tribes, that their daughter is sold for so many cows or sheep or goats or whatever it is, or these days possibly money. But that's it. So they're sold as a commodity, and then they belong to their husband. And their value is tied up in that, in their looks, in the way that they can produce children, in the way that they can do chores or look after the husband or the family or the homestead, whatever it is. So that's where our value was tied into, was, were we worth being married off, and how much could we be, were we worth in that respect? And I'm sure that there were those who said, I'm not going to do this, this is like, no ways. But what happened to those women? They were shunned, they were pushed out of the communities, or they were, I don't know, probably became the outsiders, the prostitutes, the whatever, because nobody else wanted them. So I can see a deep history coming down the generations of this, as I said, the discomfort and the ugliness around money and us being sort of commodities, as it were.
yeah. I can just feel that, like, that generational trauma, because even if it's hundreds of years ago, that still, we feel that today, like,
That's right.
no matter what. And like you said, that's still happening in different cultures and different places all over. And it is just so, it is completely just twisting our minds around our worth and what we have of value. And then to bring money into it, it's it just twists it all up. And so it's really confusing also to us to like know what our value is, and especially feeling that, if you don't have children, then you don't have value, but if you don't have a job, then you don't have value. And if you don't, it's just so confusing to our psyche. And yeah, we're going to be dealing with that that trauma really for a long time, until, as we as women are changing those patterns and changing that mindset and those beliefs, then that's our responsibility, for our children and our young girls, to really teach them that they have innate value no matter what, you know.
Yeah, I get chills thinking about that. It's, reclaiming that innate value. It doesn't matter what you do, who you are, not are, you are innately valuable. And as you say, reclaiming that it's a lot of inner work, it's a lot of healing, it's a lot of mindset shifting that needs to go in order to heal that, as it were. But it is beautiful once we start that process. I heard something recently and it really rang true. Once, let's say we make the transition from motherhood to then going out to a career like I had. And I resonate with this because I was striving and I was trying so hard and I was going out there because I was desperate for the recognition and the validation and the all of those things, because I didn't feel that self-worth within myself, that I needed to do it through my business. And so my business became an extension of me, which was, if my business didn't do well, therefore it was a reflection on me. I'm not good enough. I'm not doing a good job. I'm not doing well. So I can recognize that. And it's, just about pulling that energy back within us instead of pushing it out there to try and get that validation. It's bringing it back and finding that worth within us. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I've for sure gone through the same stages, the same cycle and everything, into to put yourself out there and to be vulnerable, and building a business, especially, like it is your baby in a sense, and so with that, though, if there are setbacks or rejection or whatever, we turn it in on ourselves, when in reality it goes back to, we have innate value no matter what. And so being true to that, we know our value, and so to offer it out. And if people aren't ready for that, then we've done our part, like there's still need to work on them to be ready to do that work. And not everybody's ready. I mean, it's work. To really look inside yourself and to make those changes and be open and aware, it is work. So
yeah, it is. And it takes courage, right? But the rewards are just, wow. I mean, it just blows my mind when I think of the healing journey that I've been on, and the rewards that I've received from that are just mind blowing, more than I could ever expect. So that's really beautiful. So another thing we're not taught is about investing money, and how, how to make money work for you, how to make money grow, because we kind of get to that point where, okay, so I'm finally earning, I've got a job, or I've got started a career, and I see little money coming in and I think, oh, this is great. And I spend it, straight away. Like when you get your first salary, when you just come out of school. And, it's all good, but we've never learned what to do with it, how to make it work for us. And so many of us, I think myself included, got to a stage where I thought, okay, well, I actually cannot, the amount of hours that I have to give, to be of service, I could never earn the kind of money. I needed to learn how to scale that, and not only to scale my business, not working just hour for dollar kind of thing, but actually how to make my money work for me. So actually being able to invest it, actually being able to invest it either back into the business or into other investments, things like that. There's a huge lack of education around that, right? I mean, you get financial advisors who can make us feel really intimidated, but and you think, well, I've got my little $500 that I'd like to invest. And I would feel totally intimidated going to an investor or something and saying that. Whereas I would feel much more comfortable coming to somebody like you and saying, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. Give me some advice. Help me here. How do I do this? So what do you speak to about investments? What have you got to share there?
I fully am a believer in investing in yourself. I think that is going to always bring you, like, your returns are always going to be continuing to grow and grow and grow. And I'm also, a believer of saving, but not being restrictive. I mean, you have, because there's such a confusing, it's confusing to us because we feel like we need to save, and then to not really be able to enjoy money and for what we've earned and stuff. And that's really not the truth. If you hold on to stuff too tight, it's going to actually not, it doesn't come back to you. You want to allow it to flow. Energy flows, money is energy, of course. So I'm a full believer in investing in yourself, and to do savings and to do all of these things. But for sure, savings, you want to have your money in a high yield savings account, just to be like technical. If you have money in a savings, make sure it's a high yield savings account, because right there, it's going to grow way, way faster than like in just a bank account. But other than that, yeah, just investing in yourself, and to recognize that money is always flowing to you, and money may not always come in actual cash, but it comes to you in gifts, it comes to you in discounts, it comes to you in all these other ways that people don't really always think about, but it's always coming to you, it's always flowing, and so, which is really fun to think about. But yeah, so investments, there's always strategies. I mean, definitely real estate, no matter what, but you want to make sure that any kind of investing you do, you want to make sure you're going to it in a healthy mindset. You don't want to ever invest in something out of fear or out of lack. You want to be like in a healthy mindset when you're putting your money into something, and trust it. So it's finding that balance of knowing that investing is great and it's excellent, but you've got to be ready and trusting for those investments to work and grow. Does that make sense?
That's beautiful. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And again, it comes back to that self-trust, right? If I don't trust myself and trust myself to make decisions and trust myself with money, then I'm not going to be good at it, right? I'm not going to be good at investing, or I won't invest at all. I'll just hang on to it, like you said. And then we've got this hang on, and like you said, money's energy, it's got to flow. And so, being open to that sort of that flow, that receiving and then giving out again and letting it flow. So again, right, that's it comes back to us about how we feel about it, how we hang on to it, or how we trust or distrust ourselves and money. Yeah, it's a huge one. And then I just loved what you said there as well. We forget about all the other ways that money that we can. It's not just about putting that little money jar there and putting cash aside. There is so many other little things. And I remember, when was it? It was quite a few years back in South Africa, and there was a bit of a financial knock that we took, and it was suddenly I had to do, really try and find ways to budget and do that. And that was when I got into, like you said, like coupons and discounts, and going for, what day of the weekend the store's got that. And at first, again, it was like, oh, that's a very embarrassing thing to do. But it's not, again, this is like, just open it up. This is abundance. Let it flow. Find the ways of doing things differently. So I love that. I love that idea of, just being open and more receptive to new ideas around money and how it comes to you.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think, it's so important to just be open, and to feel like you said, like embarrassment or anything around money is, I mean, that is just something we have to move through as like a society, because there should never be embarrassment about money, and people feel, there's so many different feelings. People feel like money is evil. People feel that they look at wealthy people as bad people, and that's just so not true. Money enhances who we are as a being, and so to never have embarrassment about it, I mean, those are great things. If I'm going to save $10, that's a great thing.
It feels cool.
It's a great thing.
Yeah, so I really love that. And again, I mean, this is all just circles back again and again to our relationship with money. And this is why it makes so much sense that you are a money relationship coach, because it's just so much around that. We cannot earn money, enjoy money, feel money, feel abundance, all these things, people talk about the abundance, all that. We cannot do that if we're stuck in these old beliefs and mindsets and trapped sort of energies and traumas that are around money that have come down through the generations that are often not any fault of our own. As you say, perhaps a generation's gone through a war or a famine or anything like that. And then on the other hand, as you say, we could come from family who have been very fortunate and have had a lot of money. And there's also that guilt and shame around that, as you said, because a lot of people might say, oh, money is the root of all evil, etc. So, wow, yes, full circle, so much there. So tell us, Megan, what would be some top tips? Let's say your 3 top tips, or somewhere where somebody can start. They're listening to this and they're saying, wow, I recognize all of this. I've got a really poor relationship with money. I've never thought about it like that, but I realize that I do have. Where would they start? How would they get started?
Well, I think definitely going back to recognizing all the different ways that money comes to us, just starting to see that, and you'll see it like often, you'll see it really, and then you'll recognize it even more and more. So that in itself really goes against the beliefs that we never have enough, we never have money, all that goes directly against it, because you'll see that it's always coming to you and it's always around you. So that's the first thing for sure. And then definitely, I mean, so much of it is on mindset, but really working through the beliefs of like lack and scarcity and fear and lack of trust and all of that. I mean, it's so much, but it's really, that is the core. That's the, I mean, you have to do that to get to a better place, So, and I think a lot of it is forgiveness too. And like that no matter where you are at right now financially, there's no shame in that. Like, we do the best we can with the information we have and all of that. So, and so the patterns we've brought on from our families, they weren't as educated about money as we are now. So now it is our responsibility to teach the next generations and everything to have that healthy relationship from the beginning. So so much of it is mindset, and really like looking at why you think these things about money. I mean, really taking like an inventory. What are my beliefs about money? How do I feel if I see somebody who's super wealthy? How do I feel if I go and buy myself a new pair of shoes? Like really take inventory of what feelings come up when you think about money is really a good place to start. So then how to move forward with healing.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. Take that inventory, because most of us, it's so unconscious that we don't even realize it. We might feel that little bit of guilt perhaps, but that's it. We don't think past that. Well, what is that? Where does that come from? Why am I feeling guilt? As you said, so really just taking inventory, spending some time just reflecting, as you say, on situations where you have had money, haven't had money, where you see others with money or lack thereof. I love that. And also just going back to your first point there about recognizing that it's around you all the time. That's huge. I recently, there was an exercise that I did recently. I can't remember her name, but she was doing an exercise that she said, write down all the places where you haven't received money or gifts or abundance or anything in any form that's been given to you. And I thought, like, well, of course I would receive it. And then you start to think about it, and you think, well, actually that person did offer me and I said, no, thank you. Or that person did want to give me a gift and I said, oh, don't worry, please don't, not need. So yes, it's true. How many times have we actually said no?
Turned it away.
Turned it away instead of receiving it. So that's another big one that to be aware of, because that again is going to give us all those clues about our mindset and how we feel, right?
And turning it away. Why are we turning it away? A lot of us, it's guilt, it's like embarrassment, it's whatever. So I think that is a great point. Yeah, that's a great point to think about those things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Fascinating. It really is. It's a fascinating topic because we all want money. We all
Yeah.
want more of it. And yet it feels like there's so many blocks around it. And this really is because it's, there is so much mindset work to be done around it, but also internal, healing work as far as our own self-worth. And yeah, so thank you. This has been such an interesting, eye-opening conversation. And I know so many women out there would love to become financially independent so that they feel, that sovereignty, they can take back their sovereignty and making choices for themselves. And yeah, it's my hope and my dream that each one of us will become more in that way, take back our sovereignty and our independence. Not to say that we don't love our partners and our husbands and we want them,
Yeah.
but we also want to find that wholeness again. And so thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your wonderful input and information. Megan, where can people get hold of you? Please let us know.
So I'm active on LinkedIn. There will be all of my content on there and ways to access me through there. So I'll put that link. Yes, yep, I'll have my calendar link on there. And so you can book in a free money relationship assessment call with me. So we'll really take a look at where you're at, where you're wanting to go. And yes, thank you for reminding me.
Wow, that's fantastic. That sounds amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Megan. It's been such a wonderful chat, and I look forward to exploring more about money and relationships with you in the future.
Thank you, Sue.